live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. It is Wednesday, January 3rd. Great to be with you here in the studio tonight. We're going in depth on the race for Utah's open Senate seat. Candidates are now officially filing, and tonight we're going to take a look at who's in and what we could expect as we head into election season. But before we get there, we've got to take a look at what's making headlines. You can find all of these stories on our website right now, KUTV.com. So Salt Lake City police are searching for a suspect wanted in connection to the very first homicide of the year. This all started around 11 o'clock this morning when officers were called for an unresponsive person inside of a building near 5th West, 3rd South. No arrests have been made, but police say there does not appear to be any threat to the public at this point. Also in your headlines, a man accused of killing his wife and their 10-month-old baby has pled not guilty. His name is Jeremy Best. He's accused of shooting and killing his wife, Callie, and abducting their son, 10-month-old Zeke, who was later found dead. You see him here in the photos. Best appeared virtually in court today, where he was officially charged with 3 counts of murder. Also in your headlines, tomorrow marks 1 year since the tragic murders of a family in Enoch. Community members and loved ones will gather to remember the lives lost, and organizers say the celebration will be open to anyone who wants to come and honor the Haight and Earl family as a safe space to share their feelings. The event gets underway tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the Enoch Elementary School gym. Again, that is tomorrow night. Finally, in your headlines, 2023, a busy year for UDOT. Last year, crews completed 131 projects with a value of $1.1 billion. Some of the highlights include upgrades to I-80, I-215, and improved lane markings along I-15 in Utah County. This year, work continues in the new West Davis Highway. All new lanes of the highway are scheduled to open on Saturday. So those are your headlines as we go in depth tonight. You can always get in touch with us throughout the show. You can use the hashtag 2NewsLive to join our conversation. Very easy to get involved if you'd like to find us on the socials. We're on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, also on TikTok. You can send a DM anywhere to weigh in. Well, let's really go in depth on the topic of conversation that has sparked up this week in the state of Utah. The names are coming in. People are filling out their intent to perhaps fill a Senate seat here in Utah. It's been a little while since we've really been talking about this because of the situation that has already been in place with, we knew who was there, and that was Mitt Romney. So things will change in a short while. Daniel Woodruff been looking into this. Daniel, what have you been finding and hearing from people throughout the last couple of days about this?
Well, we've seen about a half dozen Republicans file for the Senate race here at the Utah State Capitol. The filing period is underway right now. We've also seen a Democrat and an independent American candidate. One of the more recent candidates to file today was Congressman John Curtis, who's been in Congress representing the 3rd District since 2017. He came today and, as we reported yesterday, has announced his candidacy to run for the seat to replace Senator Mitt Romney. I had the chance to sit down with Congressman Curtis this week one-on-one to talk about why he's running. Initially, he said he wasn't going to, but why he changed his mind and decided to get in.
If they're expecting me to be Mitt Romney, I'll disappoint them. And on the same token, if they're expecting me to be Mike Lee, I'll disappoint them. I'm John Curtis. I have 6 years of showing people exactly who I am. And I like that. And I think that's what the voters will like as well.
All right, Daniel, as you mentioned, others have thrown their hat in the ring here, and it'll be a while before we really figure out where this is contentious between who. But who else stands out to you? Because we've heard Trent Staggs early on, but there's been some other big names that have been coming out.
Well, I talked with a Utah Valley University political science professor today, and he said he believes when all is said and done, it'll come down to John Curtis and Brad Wilson. Brad Wilson was the Utah House Speaker here for a number of years. He's since resigned from that post to run for the Senate, but he's been campaigning for essentially much of the last year. He formed an exploratory committee about 9 months ago. He's been raising money for the race and netting endorsements from a lot of elected officials. He jumped into the race officially in September and then filed as well yesterday here at the Capitol. We were here when Brad Wilson filed and talked to him as well about his candidacy and his hope to replace Mitt Romney.
What I've heard over and over again as I've traveled the state is Brad could you please go back to Washington, D.C. and make it look a lot more like Utah?
All right, well, those are the two.
So we're hearing from a lot of these candidates. Yeah, Brian, sorry to interrupt you. We're hearing from a lot of these candidates, and we'll see how things shape up over the next few months. It will certainly be a pretty big fight.
Daniel, thank you. I know you're going to keep an eye on those filings, more and more coming in here. So as more news pertaining to the Senate seat options come about, I'm sure we'll be hearing from you on those. Daniel Woodruff live tonight here on 2 News Live. Daniel, thank you. Another candidate that entered the race back in May, at least put the intention out there, Riverton Mayor Trent Staggs. Staggs calls himself a proven fighter who is, quote, unafraid to stand against the Washington establishment. Back in 2020, Staggs ran for Salt Lake County mayor, ultimately losing to Mayor Jenny Wilson. Another name entering Utah's Senate race, Brent Orrin Hatch. He's trying to win the seat previously held by his father, Orrin Hatch. Over the past few decades, Hatch has been a Utah trial lawyer. Before that, Hatch served in the U.S. Department of Justice and the administration of President Ronald Reagan. He was also an associate White House counsel to President George H.W. Bush. He was also a Utah delegate in the 2004 National Republican Presidential Convention. Another candidate for the open Senate seat right now, Chandler Tanner, a BYU and Harvard Law grad. After practicing law in New York City, he co-founded Bookroo, a Provo-based tech company supporting parents and teachers with the goal of getting young students to read. Chandler says he's running for U.S. Senate because he believes it's people, not government, who make our state and our nation great. As more Republican candidates file the run for Utah's open U.S. Senate seat to replace Mitt Romney, the incumbent senator says he has no plans to endorse any one of them. His office sharing a statement with us today saying, quote, Utah is fortunate to have several candidates who are interested in serving in the Senate, and Senator Romney appreciates their willingness to serve. He is staying out of the race. All right, let's take a look back now at a few of the senators to hold the past seat. We'll pull them up here for you. You've obviously heard this one here. Senator Mitt Romney assumed office on January 3rd, 2019. Plans now to retire at the end of his term. Senator Romney was preceded by longtime Utah Senator Orrin Hatch, who held the office from January 1977 to January 2019. And before that, we're digging in a little bit. Frank Moss held this Utah Senate seat from January 1959 to 1977. We spoke to UVU political science professor Stephen Sylvester about the status of this race. Take a listen.
I think it's going to come down to Brad Wilson and John Curtis. No offense to Trent Staggs. I just don't think he has the name recognition like Brad Wilson and John Curtis does. And I also think that Brad Wilson might have some trouble as well, because yes, he's a known commodity and he's been the Speaker of the House for the Utah House for the last few years. But John Curtis has got that apparatus, that the apparatus of just the money that he has. And so I think it's going to be a fight.
Yeah, money's pretty important when you're campaigning. Taking a look at the several other races, Utah's newest representative, Celeste Malloy, has officially filed for re-election. Malloy beat out Democratic State Senator Kathleen Reeby in November's special election. She succeeds Chris Stewart, who resigned after a decade in Congress due to his wife's recent illness. We've talked to Chris a number of times on this program. In a post on social media Tuesday, Malloy said in just 36 days as your representative, she's worked hard to represent Utah's values and get wins for the constituents in the 2nd District. Today, independent candidate for president Robert F. Kennedy Jr. came to the great state of Utah after securing enough signatures to be on the state's ballot. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I have a lot of ties to this state. I love this state, and I'm very, very grateful for the role that these volunteers and the people of this state have played in this election process.
Side note, Robert is a wonderful skier. Saw him on the slopes there in a video up at Sundance this week. Utah is the first state to put Kennedy on the ballot. During his speech at the Capitol today, Kennedy shared his disapproval for ballot petition blocks in other states. Well, he added that his campaign will continue to fight to get onto the ballot in all 50 states. And if you want to vote in the upcoming presidential primary election on March the 5th, there are some other dates that you really need to know about. Voters have until January 9th to change their political party affiliation. You should have gotten something in the mail about this. Voter registration must be received by the county clerk before 5 p.m. on Friday, February 23rd. If you missed that deadline, you can register in person at an early voting location or at a polling location on March 5th. So, a lot to digest there in 10 minutes of coverage. Boy, did we go in depth on that. As you head into election season, stay with KUTV2 News. We've got the latest on those poll numbers, the interviews, of course, with candidates posted online and on our KUTV YouTube page. You know where to go. We've got you covered as we get going here for election 2024 coverage. I hope we have this. Yes, a live look, Bryan Head Resort right now at the base of the giant steps. They are cleaning it up. Trent Parker, I know, love that.
Well, kitty action out there tonight. I'm a little disappointed in you. You're talking about that UDOT story, and you missed the chance to say $1 billion.
1.1 billion. No, thank you for that. Sometimes I just forget in the moment that there's a good opportunity. Love to see it here, though. I mean, they're winding down the lifts tonight. Are they night skiing tonight?
I don't think so. It doesn't
No?
look like any.
Okay, I don't think they have anything going.
Yeah.
But what's the scoop here in southern Utah? They've been getting a little bit?
Yep. Through the day today, it started right around the noon hour. They had a couple light showers, so they probably picked up maybe an inch or two, but there's a couple more inches coming later tonight and through the day tomorrow, and then bigger storms headed for us this weekend. So this is good news. Yeah, it sounds like a broken record at this point. We just need more snow across the entire West, and we will be getting it shortly here. We're looking at 40% of our normal snow water equivalent for this time of year across much of the Pacific coast. So yeah, it can get worse, and it is. It's way worse out in California, Arizona, Oregon, and Washington. We're about as good as it gets here across the West, sitting pretty at 67% of normal. And like, you know, these numbers would be good about a month ago, but now that we're really in the depths of winter, we need more snow. And as you can see here, as this plays out over the next 7 days, we're talking about snow in the quantities of feet across many of our mountains here across the West. So we will start to recover some of those percentage points over the next couple of days, and we'll see just how good we get by this time next week. We'll recount all the numbers and put that back up on display for you guys. Winter weather advisory. Now this includes Bryan Head. We could see an additional maybe 2 to 6 inches of snow up there, up in the upper mountains, but mostly it's going to be between 3 to 8 inches of snow for a lot of these mountains here. And it does include portions of I-15 as you head south or north out of Beaver and south out of Beaver. So if you're headed into or out of that area through Thursday evening, this is the spot that we are really most concerned about over the next 24 hours. This area of low pressure is going to continue to work its way to the east, so we can see some snow here across south central and southeastern Utah through the early morning hours on Thursday. And now, once it works its way completely east of the state, we're going to set up this northwesterly flow. Now, that really benefits us here across the Wasatch Front. So we'll see snow showers continuing through much of Thursday afternoon and into the evening. A brief break overnight Thursday, and then we've got this nice, strong little belt of snow that's going to move in right around the lunch hour on Friday, and it's really going to impact your afternoon and evening commute. So we have issued a first alert weather day for that one, and then we've got a brief break on Saturday before another storm yet again comes in Saturday night and into Sunday, and that's going to be another statewide storm that's really going to pile up the snow totals, especially up the mountains. So first alert weather day, this one's for northern and central Utah for Friday afternoon and evening. That commute could be pretty hazardous, some tricky and slippery travel, as well as some reduced visibility with that snow actively falling. And then we've got another one on Sunday. This one's really statewide, so this one's really going to bring in the colder air as well as that snow. So road snow is very likely across much of the state. Try to cancel or delay your travel plans if possible, and if not, plan on extra travel time. It's going to be probably the largest storm that we've seen so far this winter. Below normal temperatures, actually a really good chance at below normal temperatures across much of the west and even the southwest here as we look past Sunday, past that next storm. The 8th through the 12th, it's really going to be Arctic here across much of the west, and the temperatures on the 7-day definitely reflect that. In St. George, we're going to be dealing with the 50s tomorrow, 40s for Friday and Saturday, First alert weather day for you as well on Sunday, as we might have a couple snowflakes mixing in. And if you're headed anywhere outside of the St. George metro area, you will run into some snow likely, as well as some of that potential for some road snow. Things look to clear out though as we head towards early part of next week down in southwestern Utah. Here in the northern part of the state, we've got snow pretty much every day on this 7-day forecast. A couple snow showers tomorrow. Much more impactful on Friday, that first alert weather day. Clouds on Saturday, another one on Sunday. This is the big one here. And look at those temperatures as they drop into the low 30s, and then the upper 20s is what we're expecting as we head into Monday. And then we rebound a little bit heading into Tuesday and Wednesday. Another first alert weather day issued on Wednesday. And these are really your best days to ski if you're trying to head up into the mountains, Brian. It looks like Thursday, tomorrow, likely no troubles on the roads, no real snow accumulations. Friday might get a little tricky with that PM travel commute, and then through the weekend things are just going to be busy and snowy, so I'd probably wait until Monday when we get those big totals and some more terrain openings.
Well, you were talking about areas that are getting snow right now. Can we pull up U.1 if we have an opportunity real quick to take a look? Because it
looks like Christmas down there.
Yeah, it looks good. If we have the opportunity to pull up Bryce Canyon City there, it looks great. There's Ruby's Inn, the gateway to Bryce Canyon National Park. This is just beautiful. I mean, they've got the lights up there along the road.
It's been a while since we've seen this, hasn't it?
I know. This is pretty. Thanks to Chase Thomason for finding that on the camera right now.
Nice one, buddy.
Give him a little shout there, and then figured we'd need a little look at some snow on the ground. Trent, thank you. Remember, of course, to download our 2 News weather app to know about changes in your neighborhood. You can get updated forecasts, live radar right at the palm of your hand. The app is free to download. And just so you know, you can always find KUTV 2 News and 2 News Live, specifically on your phone, your tablet, your computer. You can stream our newscasts, the KUTV mobile app, very easy to grab. That one, of course, Stir News on YouTube, a personal favorite, all free to download in the Apple App Store and Google Play. Trent was trying to leave. We said, no, get on back here for the final word.
I've got one more plug. Download the 2 News weather app over the next couple of days because you're going to need it. The radar is really handy to see if it's actively snowing above you. Kind of correlate things.
Now, do we get the red banner on there, the weather alert day?
We do, no.
Okay, well, we need to work on the algorithm there, though, because there's a lot of activity. Finally getting our Mets to be busy here.
Yeah.
Okay,
Put